2020 hopeful Senator Elizabeth Warren renewing her call to end the Electoral College, tweeting, quote, "My goal is to get elected, but I plan to be the last American president to be elected by the Electoral College. I want my second term to be elected by direct vote." Now, our system of electing a president has become a hot-button issue among some Democrats in recent years, after Al Gore in 2000 and Hillary Clinton in 2016 both won the popular vote but went on to lose the presidency after losing the Electoral College. Our next guest is the author of the book Rethinking U.S. Election Law. He is Steven Mulroy. He's a former federal prosecutor and current law professor at the University of Memphis. And good to see you. I told you I was going to bring you back to talk about this very topic. Now, before you answer the question, does it still work? Currently, the electoral votes are allocated to each state based on population, I believe, right now from the 2010 census. If you could, brief us on why it was initially set up.
The Electoral College was initially set up for three main reasons, Arthel. First, as a sop to smaller states to get them to agree to sign the Constitution. Second, as a sop to slaveholding states to get them to agree. And third, because the founders didn't really trust regular voters to make the decision. They wanted a group of elites to serve as a check on what they feared would be the passions of the mob in electing somebody who they thought might be an unwise decision.
Well, that was then, and thank goodness so much has changed. Does the Electoral College system still work?
Well, Arthel, I think it doesn't work. For one thing, as you, I think, just pointed out, twice in the last 5 presidential elections, the person who got fewer votes won over somebody who got more votes. And I think most Americans legitimately find that counterintuitive, to say the least. Also, we're in a system here where everyone's vote doesn't mathematically count the same. So because of the structure of the Electoral College vote, a Wyoming voter, for example, their vote counts mathematically more than 3 times that of a Californian voter. And you can make similar comparisons across the country. Again, I think most Americans legitimately find that a bit curious, and that's why I say I don't really think that it works anymore. I think a lot of the original reasons why we have it no longer apply, and I'm not really sure it's a 21st century system.
Exactly. So it would take an act of Congress, literally, to repeal or abolish the Electoral College system. However, again, if every vote counts, I mean, why not use the popular vote nationwide? Majority rules. Who gets the most votes wins. Isn't that the best for a democracy? And then before you even answer that, you know, it's best for democracy, I think. Do you have any ideas about how to best alter the election system to fit modern times?
Yes. So to both questions, first, I agree with you, Arthel, that the Electoral College is in need of reform. I think the main counter-argument that you hear from defenders of the college is that it protects small states. However, it doesn't really protect small states. What it does is protect 10 or 12 swing states. A lot of them aren't even small, that have disproportionate effect on both the campaign and on governance. Now, as to a way to actually fix it, many people say that you would actually need to amend the federal Constitution, which, as you know, is extremely difficult to do. But that's not actually the case. There's a new movement now over the last 10 years called the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, which is an agreement among state legislatures that they will allocate all of their Electoral College votes to whoever wins the overall national popular vote. It would become effective as soon as enough states signed on to control 270 Electoral College votes and thus control the outcome of the election. In the last 10 years, those proponents have gotten 70% of the way towards their goal of controlling 270 Electoral College votes. It is not unthinkable that in the years to come, enough states would also sign on to make it effective.
But how long might that take? And you're saying that leave it up to the states instead of relying on Congress to amend the Constitution.
Right. I think the more practical, realistic approach, if you want to amend the reform the Electoral College, is to do this interstate compact among the state legislatures. I think that's an easier road. In terms of how long, it's difficult to know. I mean, I think a lot of the low-hanging fruit's already been picked off, and so the next few states might be harder. But, you know, they've come a long way in just 10 years. I don't think it's unrealistic to think that in our lifetime we'll see the Electoral College not abolished, but essentially rendered harmless.
Good. Yeah, good point. Not abolished, but definitely reformed to fit modern times. Professor Mulroy, thank you very much. We'll talk to you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marthel. Take care.